Everybody, Scout Crafter here again. It's Friday, TGIF. It's a little stormy. We might have a little thunder shower. That's why I'm flying a storm flag today. And we got a couple things to talk about. First, we want to talk about upcoming projects. We do that every couple months. I've been waiting. Let's get downstairs and get started. Won't be in any particular order. I've had a lot of this stuff for months, and I put it in boxes, and when I get up to a big enough box, then it gets show you what we have, and then it goes upstairs to the to-do section. So that's why I can't take on any new work, because I'm still working on stuff that I got from last year. So let's get right to it. Okay, first off, a good friend of the show by the name of Frank Waters from Albany, New York. He's a big tool guy, and he collects a lot of tool memorabilia and stuff. He sent me this book from Jack DeWitt, and what's nice about this is it's a autographed copy. You can see here there's Jack's autograph, but Jack wrote this book, and what it is, it's all the tool makers from Ohio. And what he did was he went through all the areas of Ohio, the cities, the counties, the towns, and he picked out all the tool makers from just that one state. So how amazing is that? Take a look at some of, this is again, you go by, this is all Akron, Ohio. And then as you go on, it goes on Alliance, Ohio, and things like that. There's all different parts of, and different tool makers, everything from Ohio. And you would be shocked to see how much was made in Ohio as far as tools go and farm implements, and he writes down each one where it was, the approximate date that it was. I mean, a lot of work went into this book, photographing and cataloging all these tools and implements from that one state. And that's what makes me kind of sad, because to think of all these great states that we had, Connecticut, Ohio, Massachusetts, all these beds of industry and things like that were chased out, and now we're buying crap stuff from overseas when we could have been making this stuff, and everybody could be making their own stuff. I mean, England had the same thing, and Australia used to have good tool companies, and now everybody's going with this globalization crap. We're all buying the same junk when there were so many individual tool makers from years ago, and they were all driven out. And but a very interesting book. I never knew there was this much stuff from Ohio that was made, and I really appreciate it. Frank, thanks so much. That's a good friend of the show by the name of Craig Adams. Craig happened to come across these Klein coats, and we've done these. These are the best handles you can get. I mean, I just love them. They come in Scout Crafter Red, and they're just. We're going to do another video because we're going to be putting these. I got a couple pliers just screaming for these. Anyway, Craig found these for $1 a piece. How could you pass them up for that? So he sent them into the show. But what I really like, look what else he sent. Now, Craig was also a scout leader, a cub master, and for every year, what he would do is he would make. These are called neckerchief slides. Now, in the Scouts, we wear neckerchiefs. It's not just for a part of the uniform, but it also has hundreds of uses that you could use it for. And so he would make these slides every year so the kids would have something to look forward to, and the leaders and everybody would have the same slide. It's a great troop activity, keeps everybody looking forward. Here's an alien he made, and this is from a rocketry, when they were doing rocketry to kick off that. Here's from a Pinewood Derby. He made these. Remember now, he made each one of these for each one of the boys and the leaders. How great is that? Here is a railroad spike commemorating the 150th years of the Transcontinental Railroad, golden spike. How awesome is that? And my favorite, look at this. Did a mini knot board. Now, knot boards are something we all had in Scouts that you would have up, hanging up, and if a boy was having a little trouble remembering a knot, he could go over there and see how it was. Look at this. How amazing is that? It's got all the knots that we use in Scouts, and he look at how nice he did this, huh? Craig, thank you so much, and I love the slides so much. I can't tell you. Thank you again. Next up, a friend of the show by the name of Keith Zaransky from Winnetka, Illinois. Am I pronouncing that right? Winnetka, Illinois. Anyway, Keith sent in these great spark plugs. Now, I don't. Okay, spark plugs are one of those things. When we were growing up, these were tossed in. They had sometimes 55-gallon drums filled with these things, just thrown away, tossed, right? So nobody ever thought about keeping them or whatever. But if you look at some of the spark plugs and the different designs and whatnot they had, it was just amazing. Look at these. Have you ever seen a spark plug with something like this one here? I never saw this type of spark plug with this wide flange around the top and bottom. What went in the middle of this? I don't even know. But if you like antique cars or do, and you look at some of the, especially those old flathead Fords and things like that, where you would see the straight eights, you would see the plug right there. It was just, the plugs are beautiful, and what a great invention. I'm going to clean one up just to show you what they look like. Here, we're going to pick one here. This one's pretty dirty, right? Let's take a good look at this one here. This one's pretty dirty. I'm going to show you how easy these clean up and how nice they look. If you want to put them on a display board or something, it's a beautiful way to preserve part of history. Okay, here we have 10 minutes on the wire brush, and look at that. Look how beautiful these come out, right? Almost like NOS when you do it the right way. And I think I have such a love and respect for these spark plugs, because this is where my dad first taught me to use the wire brush. And that's, I guess, why they mean so much. I love them. Now, look here. Look at some of the parts of this plug that is so interesting. You see this whole knurled section here? I mean, you don't see that on any other plug. That's so you can screw it in by hand, start it by hand, and you would finish it off with a socket or a wrench of some type. And this is an all-state plug, as you can see here. And they came with caps that you can put on. Sometimes the wires, you didn't need the cap, but a lot of times the caps got lost. But then you can pick them up. Beautiful plug, isn't it? Look how nice they come out. I love spark plugs, especially spark plug displays. So again, Keith, thank you so much. These are beautiful, and I will put them away until I can do every one like this one. Next up, my good friend Bob Peltier. Now, I'm probably screwing the pronunciation up, but sometimes when I get a name I can't pronounce, I go on YouTube and I just put pronounce so-and-so, and that's the best I can get. So Bob is from Seattle, Washington. And he sent these. He's also a member of the American Legion out there. He sent these nice stickers to me, and these are fantastic. 0311, that's infantry. Obviously, that's my MOS. And look at this. We can all use this, right? Stick ahead. Look at this. Must fix it. Okay. And, Marine Corps stickers and the flag. Now, just great. And these bullet holes. You ever see these on the car? Sometimes they look so real. I'm telling you. Depending on the car you put them on. If you put a couple, that's exactly what a bullet hole looks like. Anyway, Bob, thanks so much. I'm looking forward to putting these Next up, these are a long time ago, so I apologize. But my good friend Bill Cover from Bluff Point, New York, upstate. And, look at these beautiful pliers he sent. Now, you know me, I love pliers. And especially, when you look at these pliers, these are all kind of unusual, but they're so beautiful, every one of them. I just feel like right now stopping and just going over and starting on these. But you can see here some of the unusual style pliers. This is almost like a square, or, not quite a duckbill, but interesting plier. Look at the forging on this pliers here. Isn't that just beautiful? That's a beautiful pair. And when these things are cleaned up, and look at that. That is just, I love this stuff. And obviously here you got these small lineman pliers that are just, they're going to come out and look nice, and embellishment on the handles. I'm looking forward to doing all these. So, I love pliers. Bill, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Okay, next up from a good friend up north, Al Manzoli. Al used to do electrical contracting. This was one of his old cards before he retired. How cool is that? Look at that little guy. But Al had a couple of these tools, and he likes to tinker around, and he still keeps busy. But he thought look at these. These almost look like Bernards. You know how we have the Bernards here, but they're not parallel. They're almost like like a duckbill. And these look like they're made by a Lodi, USA. Never seen these before. And you can see the patent here, 1894. But it has a secondary date of November 19 something. You can see that on there. It might be worn, but pretty interesting, right? And then over here, I actually have one of these that, believe it or not, this was a multi-tool that was used years ago. A lot of times you would see them in hardware stores and stuff. It has a glass cutter, which works very good, this particular glass cutter. And it also has this high piece of steel here, this hardened steel, and you could use it for sharpening scissors. You could sharpen your lawnmower here. You could sharpen your knives, things like that, and you could adjust it when it starts to get worn. You could move it a little bit, you know, in and out. You could see here, and there's the angles for sharpening your knives and things like that. But we'll go through this because I want to get the original paperwork on this thing to show you how cool it is. Also sent this great Klein's Tools, a vintage Klein's. And what's nice about this is a lot of it's in color. You don't usually see color catalogs from back then, and here it is. You know, it's got all the vintage Klein tools that we know and love, and just, I love this stuff. I love vintage catalogs because you can go back here for reference and see all the different products they offered, and look at all them leather sheaths for all their tools. Klein, oh, there's those buckets we were talking about, right? And Klein made a lot of tools, and I don't know if they reduced a lot of what they're selling, because I do want to go on their website occasionally. They don't have as much as they used to. I have a couple of these. These are actually wire pullers, things like that, and they work very good. You find them a lot of times at flea markets and whatnot. But beautiful catalog. Matthias Klein and Sons, Chicago, Illinois. General catalog number 117. Very good. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it, Al. Next up comes this nice little lot from Will Stoop. Turns out that Will's both his father and his two grandfathers were both blacksmiths. So Will's got a ton of tools and things like that. But he just sent me a few things. I was happened to be doing like a pen or pencil video, and he had these old NOS clips. He's got a bunch of them. He says if I need any more. But a lot of times you could use these pencils, these clips even on pencils. You know, even though they were pen clips, but they were popular years ago. You could buy them. Also sent this little multi-tool. You know, the little multi-tools here that they have that screws open. This one here, what's interesting is this one here, he's got a pull tab, but this is friction. A lot of times they were threaded, and a lot of times these were made from like high quality, and you can see after all these years it hasn't loosened up. I mean, it still works and it's solid, and you would put your tools in here and then they would go into here, and this is the kind of rust you love. You see that rust right there? That's the orangey rust. It came in this bag, and you can see when you see that orangey rust, that's the best type. You don't want corrosion, you want that kind of rust, so that'll come out beautiful. And over here, this is really interesting. Have you ever seen one of these before? This is a bell system. You see this bell system? You can see the Model D there. This is a crimper, and what's so interesting about this, you can see when you open it up, it's like compound action, gives you a lot of leverage, but it also has a stop here. See when it stops, so it won't over crimp. And crimpers are great, and Bell System made a lot of good tools. They have a lot of good hammers and all kinds of tools, but it was idiot proof, which is tools I like because it's good for me. Anyway, thanks so much, Will. Will is out of Tuckahoe, New Jersey, and really appreciate it. Okay, next up, our friend Tom Doyle from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Oh boy, remember all the steel that Pittsburgh used to make back in the day? I hope they come back. I hope that everything comes back the way it should be. Anyway, what we have here, Tom sent these awesome tools, and we started talking about what this was. And this is what's called a saw set. And, you know, we were talking about with the saw, the teeth of the saw has to be offset a little bit, or else it binds up. And what this would do is it would put the little bend in the saw. And there were so many of these made, and there were some really ornate and some that were more plain. And there were some made for different types of saws. And this, you know, and I'll tell you, the old timers used to use these all the time, and they know exactly how to use. I'll tell you the truth. I know my buddy Dave, old Sneelock, he still knows how to work a lot of these saw sets, but I never really, I only used a couple times, and you know, you really got to understand what you're doing with them. But it is, as far as restoring a tool, we can get to that. This here is really cool. This here, and you can see here, you can see the writing on here. This is a crimper. Okay, and these crimpers are not cheap. You can see that red dot indicates what type of crimp that you put in here. But what's so interesting about these crimping tools, especially a good one, and let me show you something real quick. Okay, so now these are crimps, okay, and you see they're color-coded. And the reason they're color-coded is because you're supposed to use these. These are called solderless crimps, or and what you do is you would use this according to the color code. You can see there's 3 colors. They're red, blue, and yellow, and you can see accordingly on the crimp here. This is a crimping tool. Now, a lot of these crimp tool sets came with this crappy crimp tool that if you ever get one of these, they're horrible. So you usually invest in a little better one. And this one here is a little better one. This one here is a ratcheting type. You can hear it ratchet, listen. And then when it gets to the right crimp, it releases. So you know you have the right amount. You can't over crimp it. And it has your 3 colors here, yellow, blue, and red. Now, this one here is an even more professional crimp tool. And how this works, it's the same way. Now again, how a good crimping tool would work is you take your wire here like this, you place it into here where you have a red crimp. So it comes out, you just want to see the tip of the wire there. And then what you do is you pass it through the crimping tool like this here, okay? And then you rest the plastic on here and you press this down, okay? And when you squeeze it, you're going to squeeze it. It has a ratchet. You see, it won't let go. It locks in there and you keep squeezing it until you hear a click. Okay, there's the click. It's already down, and now it'll release and let your crimp out. And that is a perfectly formed, look at that, huh? Perfectly formed crimp on here without over crimping it, without squeezing it, and it's on there. It won't come off. So that's a professional crimping tool, and that's why they're so beautiful to use. You know, stay away from them garbage crimp tools. I know you electronic guys out there are laughing right now. 1, because my poor technique, and 2, because you're laughing at those crappy crimping tools should be outlawed. Okay, next up, here is a beautiful, and I love this kind of stuff, and you don't usually see this, but Tom sent this over here because he thought it would find interesting. It's like a utility knife, you know. You would use a, you put a double. This would use a regular double-edged a razor blade. You could put in here, but you could see here it's Adam's Specialty. Can you see? Let me see if I can get that to focus. There we go. Adam's Specialty. You know how nice this will clean up, right? So we're going to get to this and show you exactly how this works. But these were great little tools, and they were inexpensive. Love that stuff. Tom, thanks so much. As I was looking through the box, I realized Tom Doyle, who sent the tools we just did before, he also sent these. He said he forgot, like a week later, I got these in the mail. He forgot to throw them in a package. Couple of interesting screwdrivers. I know 357 Magdad's been going nuts with getting these really minted out on the wood handle screwdrivers and whatnot. But here, this is an old Velcher. You don't see these too often, but we can work on that. A nice chisel, you know, socket chisel. And I love this. I love the look of this. How nice will this be if this was all cleaned up, right? So, and it's made here. It says, you can see it's made in Japan. Early Japan, but it's a 3-way screwdriver. It's got the Phillips, and it's got 2 slotted, and it's got a nice torque to it and nice feel. I love that. Something that's probably came out of the 60s, something. I really like that. So we'll get to that again. Thanks. Okay, next up we got this beautiful lot of tools sent in, a big flat rate box sent by Joel Jacobson out of McLean, Virginia. And, you know, it's kind of embarrassing because he sent this August 9th, almost a year ago. You know, I'm just getting around to it. So I do apologize if Joel, if you are still out there. Joel's a member of Patina. It's a tool collecting club. And I think my videos are banned from any of their members. So Joel must be watching me in secret. Okay, but Joel sent in you know, a variety because a lot of these were a former neighbor's father who passed, and they... These are all from Virginia tools that he got from in that area, but there were some really interesting, like, I like these old Dunlops, you know. Look at that. Look at the old Dunlop with the, you know, and these always clean up nice, you know. The one thing about vice grips and those type tools, and look at this here. This is a Blue Point, but look at the tubular wrench on here. You know, again, you don't see that kind, and very comfortable in the hand. These were nice. Blue Point made some really nice tools. A lot of unusual and interesting tools that you don't see. Look at the offset on this chrome vanadium tool here. This is a Bonnie, and, you know, my friend Rob, Resto Rob, does all the Bonnie tools, but look at the offset on that. That's pretty interesting, huh? And here, this Silfo from Germany. Never saw one of these before. Again, an offset, but a lot of different tools. Of course, a rigid. If you're just getting into tool restoration and you want a tool to restore, get yourself a rigid pipe wrench, because you can't mess these up, and they're so beautiful, and they come out so nice, especially if you put a little bit of extra work in them. I love them. I mean, and they always hold their value. They're fantastic tools. Great steel, and a lot of different, you know, unusual sets. Here's a open-end set, and again, these are all vintage and you know, this looks like an old Billings here, you know, with the black, but different ones. And it's always good if you're missing a wrench or something like that, or if you happen to be missing a wrench, let me know if we have one here that fits. But anyway, Joel, thanks so much. Again, I'm sorry it took so long to get to. Really cool wrench from Joel's collection. Look at this here. This is an ignition wrench. Remember the old points that we used to have to do? But it also comes with feeler gauges built in. So you had your feeler gauge right on your ignition wrench, the most popular sizes. Isn't that a nifty little tool? Next up, this one's not too bad. I don't feel too bad because it was only less than a month ago. But Lou Ragusa, a good friend from Medford, Massachusetts. Lou contacted me, says, look, I got some of these old catalogs. I said, yeah, I love old catalogs. Look at these. He got a bunch of these old Lufkin and, you know, or Lufkin. I don't even know how it's pronounced. But look at these, the beautiful catalogs with all their products. And they made a lot of stuff, and they were high quality. You know, Lufkin was around for, you know, a long time. And they also have the price list and everything, and some of these date back. When I tell you they're old, this one here, 1937. But you know what I also get a kick out of? Look at the handwriting. I always loved looking at old type handwriting, because you could see that this was written with probably one of those, you know, those ink pen, those fountain pen type. You could see it's just obviously pre-ballpoint. So I love that. You know, usually you see stuff written in pencil, but this was all the price, you know, the price that would go with the actual catalog, and so they wouldn't have to print out new catalogs every year. Here's an old Stanley tool catalog, and what's interesting is they show the production and how a lot of these were made. And again, these old catalogs, you could sit through them and browse through them, and especially if you come across an old tool, you could see how it was made. And Stanley was top dog. You know, they were great tools for years. But here's an interesting one, too, that he threw in with the bunch. And this is Mueller, or I guess it's Mueller, right? Plumbing Brass Goods. But you can see here, for sale by Cummings in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Look at this here. You could tell this old type, again, with these illustrations that were drawn. You know, these had to be drawn. These weren't photos or anything, but look at that. And all of these here, this is 1925. So this is all the type of plumbing I have in my house right now. So I wish I could find some of this stuff to replace it. But remember the old porcelain knobs? The old timers are sitting there going, yeah, I remember those. And they were beautiful. And, you know, there was no, now you buy stuff and it's so cheap that, you know, I'm not goofing on the Chinese stuff, but man, there's nothing like the feel of a quality in your hand that kids today just will never get unless you get antiques, you know. There was such quality in everything that they made. And you know, it wasn't cheap, especially even back then. You could see here, there's something here, the price, and number 28 was $5. $5 back in 1925 was a lot of money. Anyway, Lou, thank you so much. These are great books. Okay, we're down to our last two, I think, and I hope this isn't too long, this video, but I got to tell you, you know my good friend Abe Elias from Canada. He's the knife. He makes diving sparrow knife works, and he's in the process of moving now. But he wanted to send me out some stuff before he moved. He's been sending me abrasives for a long time, but these are special type abrasives that he sent out. These are what makes these abrasives so special is, you know, normally when you use an abrasive on a belt sand, it wears down and until it's kind of dull. These, every time, if you look at microscopically, every time it hits the blade, it chips off the abrasive and makes a brand new cutting edge. They're supposed to be really, really good. Now, Abe does a lot of grinding on hardened knives, so he knows which ones last. And speaking of which, we were talking the other, I guess a couple months ago, and I was saying to Abe, I said, you know, I would love to see it. A lot of people like the knife that we did. We put the handles on. I said, would you ever have a knife like that you know, that you could sell as a kit? Now, Abe don't want to obviously take his the knives that he sells normally and kit them out, because then if somebody sees a handle that's not so attractive, they'll say, oh, you know, they'll associate it with him. So he came up with a special design that was made for just people that he was going to put it into a kit form. There's his logo on there. But look at that nice, it's almost not quite a drop point, but it's a nice, just a nice style blade. Got a nice handle on it. You know, it'll be very easy to put any kind of scales on here. and he's going to be working on these. He has a couple in process. We're trying to get it so that you can get a custom knife for, you know, less than $100 shipped to your house, you know, so that's like unbelievable, especially if you see what these things cost. Normally the steel alone is real high tech, and all heat treated. It comes just, you know, like that. So he's gonna, when he finishes moving, he'll put out the word, and I'll let you know, because I'm like the first on the list to pick one up. But he sent me this one. It was a type of prototype. It's going to be very similar to this, so we're going to be putting handles on this, and you'll get a really good chance of what it's see. But here's something else that he did. And I think he custom made one of these for a friend that's a woodworker, and I think that this was I don't know if it was in the size parameters, and something that he said, you know, he sent this to me, and I said, this is a draw knife. Now obviously you put the handles on here and you use it. If you have never used a draw knife, we're going to go through that, but look how pretty this is, you know, and a nice small size, because normally draw knives are 14 inches or above. But this is a nice small size for getting in and doing that work, intricate work. I don't even want to touch the edge because, you know, that's what I do. I cut myself all the time. But how cool are these? And we're going to be talking more about it, because we're going to be putting a handle on this and handles on these. And then we're going to try out these abrasives. Abe, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. If you hung in there this long, I do appreciate it. You know, I'm not crazy about doing unboxing videos of things people send me. I kind of get embarrassed, but I'm so grateful, and I want everybody to know how grateful I am. But let me show you this last haul that was sent in from Ben Curfey. And you know Ben from, he's from Manchester, from across the pond. Ben has been a supporter of not only my channel, but all the other tool channels. He just started his own channel, his own YouTube channel called Tool Addict. He just started, so hopefully you'll go over there and give him a visit. But we'll talk. I'll put the link in the description. Let me just tell you about what Ben sends tools to a lot of the tool makers here from England. If you know what's always interesting, tools from across the pond are so different, you know, from a lot of things we see. Like for example, he's picked up a few of these, but you see this here, it's called a multi-York, and it says sofas and interiors. This kind of tool was, they were used for so many different purposes, you know. Some of these tools were used by body workers to do lead and things like that. But this tool here, I'm saying probably because of the name, was meant for interiors, for doing upholstery work and things like that. That's the only thing I can think of. But they were all it's a very similar style, and it's a beautiful, you know, hardwood tool. Again, this is the way they do stuff in the UK. Really nice. Here's an axe that, you know, never seen one of these type before. I don't see any name on here yet, but you can see this wood handle. Now, this handle's a little bit loose, and you can see the type of the way it's held on here. So we'll have some fun with this. This ferrule is dented up. That's going to be hard to get done, but the axe itself is in decent shape, and that'll be fun to see. I saw this on Ben's channel when he got this. Look at these. These are beautiful golden shears. You see these? And you can see here, these are quality. It says radiant golden shears. They're gold plated, but they have, you can see here, and they are sharp, you know, and it came with a leather holster. How nice is that? How nice is that holster, huh? For shears. And sent me some others. Here's an unusual chrome vanadium Black & Decker made in West Germany. So we know that's not recent, but beautiful and very strong. Unusual handle. We never saw one of those before. Here's a different type of specialty tool for like a spanner type a fastener. Interesting. A pencil from Festool. And look at this here. This is really nice for any kind of machinist. And what this is, it is a countersink with a depth. Here, when you can screw and you can adjust the depth, and then you tighten up, you pull this back, and you unscrew it like this, okay? And then you pull this up, and you could turn here. You can adjust the depth, you see? So I'm screwing it down now. Then when you get it to where you want it locked in, you tighten this up, and it'll only go down, you see? It'll only go down a certain length, and that'll give you perfect countersinks every single time. This is really nice, really well made, beautiful. Sent a nice machinist level. You know, these are always in a beautiful case too. You can see with the felt lining. And here you can see it's a nice machinist level and how these work. You know, obviously you turn this here like this. You can see here, It's got the graduations, and it's got the adjustments. So this is a permanent tool that'll last a lifetime. And it's even got a small bubble level here so that you can go left or right. It's just a beautiful tool. Over here he sent this, and look, the instructions are even with it. It's a Primus or Primus camp stove. See how that works? You see, it's got all, it shows, and you need the instructions because look what's in here. Obviously, this has been, but look at that. It's got all the original tools. And here's the stove, and this is brass, and it's a number 96. And it's made in Sweden. And look at that, huh? This will clean up beautiful brass. And these things, you know, a lot of guys that do these stoves, like I have one of this guy, Stunt Car Driver. He's a good friend of the show, and he actually repairs and does, he has like the most Coleman stoves of anybody I know, hundreds. But guys that know how to repair these, they know the seals, and there's a certain trick to doing fuel stoves, and if you get it, and then you understand it, but it takes a while to get it. Next up, look at this little anvil. This thing, it's obviously 100 years. It was a anniversary, probably a salesman sample anvil, because I don't think blacksmiths use this size too much, but salesman sample. But I said, man, what a shame. What a shame. They painted it in blue, which is not record. That's their color and stuff, but this could be so nice. We're going to hit this early because you can make this into a piece that, you know, no forging. We're gonna do this soon. Anyway, Ben, thank you so much. Again, check out his link is in the description. Tool Addict is his is what he goes by on YouTube, and you can see all the cool tools he picks up because Ben enjoys just going out and hunting these things down, and he has a ton of tools. So go to his channel, check him out, tell him I sent you. So now you know why it takes me so long, and now this is all these tools have to be done after the ones I have upstairs I didn't get to. So I thank you so much for sending them in, but you know, it does take a long time to get to them, especially when you're doing one or two at a time. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks if you stayed this long. Thanks very much. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care now. Bye-bye.